Saint Faustina wrote in her diary with simple certainty, "My guardian angel told me to follow him, and in a moment I found myself in places unknown to me before." Diary 20. From these encounters, she learned that the guardian angel is not only a companion in life, but a faithful guide who never abandons the soul, even beyond the threshold of death. Have you ever wondered what happens to the soul in the first moment after it leaves the body? Have you ever considered that you are not alone when you cross from this life into eternity? And have you ever asked yourself how God, in His mercy, prepares the soul for what comes next? In the quiet of her convent cell, when the world outside seemed distant and still, Saint Faustina was given a profound interior understanding. The guardian angel does not disappear at death. On the contrary, this heavenly companion becomes even more attentive, more present, guiding the soul with tenderness and clarity through what would otherwise be an overwhelming passage. Before we continue, subscribe if you wish to discover the authentic revelations Jesus entrusted to Saint Faustina about the unseen realities that surround every soul. Faustina often experienced the presence of her guardian angel as calm, firm, and luminous. He did not speak often, but when he did, his words carried authority without fear. In her diary, she described being led by him swiftly and safely, never confused, never lost. From these experiences, she understood that the soul, at the moment of death, is not left to wander or face eternity alone. God assigns His angels to escort, protect, and orient the soul according to His perfect justice and mercy. She was shown that when the soul separates from the body, confusion does not reign, order does. The guardian angel, who has accompanied the soul since baptism, remains close, steadying the soul as it awakens to a new awareness. The angel helps the soul understand what is happening, shielding it from fear and directing its attention toward God's truth. Faustina understood that many souls fear death because they imagine isolation, darkness, or abandonment. But Jesus allowed her to see the opposite. For the soul that belongs to God, death is not chaos, it is passage. And the guardian angel is the first familiar presence the soul recognizes on the other side, a presence marked by peace, obedience to God, and unwavering fidelity. She wrote that the angel never acts on his own will, but only according to God's command. This gave her great consolation. Nothing about the soul's journey after death is random. Nothing is left to chance. Every step is guided. Every moment is permitted by divine wisdom. And the angel's role is not to judge, but to guide, to lead the soul where God wills, whether toward purification or toward glory. As Faustina reflected on this truth, she felt a deep peace settle in her heart. If God assigns an angel to guard the soul throughout life, would He abandon it at the moment it needs guidance most? The answer was clear. Divine mercy provides companions even at the door of eternity. As Faustina reflected more deeply on the presence of the guardian angel, she began to understand that this guidance is not sudden or unfamiliar. It is the continuation of a relationship that has existed quietly throughout the soul's entire life. The angel who guides the soul after death is the same one who whispered warnings in moments of temptation, inspired small acts of goodness, and defended the soul in unseen spiritual battles. Death does not introduce a stranger. It reveals a companion who was always there. In prayer, Faustina sensed how the soul, at the moment of leaving the body, experiences a profound clarity. Earthly distractions fall away. The weight of the senses dissolves. And in this new awareness, the guardian angel draws near with gentleness, steadying the soul so it does not become overwhelmed by the sudden expansion of truth. The angel's presence is not dramatic, but deeply reassuring, like a firm hand guiding someone through a dark doorway into light. Jesus allowed Faustina to understand that the angel does not force the soul forward. He accompanies it. He helps the soul face reality without fear. The angel reminds the soul of God's mercy, of the love it has received, and of the justice that now unfolds with perfect balance. This guidance is especially necessary because the soul now sees itself as it truly is, without excuses, without illusions. And such clarity, though holy, can feel intense. Faustina understood that the guardian angel's role at this moment is to protect the soul from despair. When the soul recognizes its weaknesses and failures with full clarity, the angel anchors it in truth, keeping it from falling into fear. The angel does not hide reality, but he ensures the soul does not lose hope while confronting it. He directs the soul's gaze toward God's mercy, not toward self-condemnation. She wrote that angels rejoice not in judgment, but in obedience. Their joy comes from carrying out God's will perfectly, and it is in this obedience that the soul finds peace. Nothing unfolds by accident. The soul's path after death is not uncertain or chaotic. It is guided step by the one who has guarded it faithfully since its first breath. Faustina felt great consolation, knowing that the guardian angel does not abandon the soul even when it must pass through purification. If the soul is led toward purgatory, the angel does not depart. He remains near, reverent, attentive, accompanying the soul as God's justice cleanses it through mercy. Though the angel cannot shorten the purification, his presence ensures the soul never feels alone. She also understood that the angel's guidance is silent. There are no long explanations, no debates, no confusion. The angel leads by presence, by clarity, by light. And the soul, freed from the noise of the world, understands intuitively where it must go and why. As Faustina absorbed these truths, she felt her fear of death dissolve into quiet trust. If God provides such guidance beyond the grave, then death itself is not abandonment, but transition, a crossing made under watchful care. As Faustina continued to meditate on these truths, she realized that the guidance of the guardian angel after death is inseparable from the soul's encounter with truth. In her diary, she often described how angels move with perfect order, never rushed, never delayed, acting only within the will of God. This order, she understood, is a great mercy for the soul at the moment it leaves the body, because nothing is more frightening than confusion when facing eternity. She was given to understand that when the soul awakens after death, it becomes suddenly aware of the spiritual realm that had always surrounded it. The veil lifts, the invisible becomes clear, and in this overwhelming clarity, the guardian angel gently directs the soul's attention. He prevents the soul from being scattered by fear or astonishment. He steadies it, as one steadies a child learning to walk, not by force, but by presence. Faustina sensed that the angel does not speak many words at this moment. Words are no longer necessary. Truth is perceived directly. The soul understands intuitively where it stands before God. It recognizes its love, its failures, its attachments, and its longing. And in this recognition, the angel acts as a silent witness, confirming the justice and mercy unfolding before the soul. She understood that one of the angel's most important roles is to guard the soul from deception. On earth, the soul is often confused by appearances, emotions, and self-justifications. After death, these illusions fall away, but the soul may still be tempted to despair when it sees its own weakness clearly. The guardian angel, in obedience to God, anchors the soul in truth, preventing it from misinterpreting justice as rejection. Faustina felt deeply moved by this realization. The angel does not argue with the soul. He does not accuse it. He does not comfort it with false reassurance. He simply stands in truth, and by doing so he allows the soul to stand in truth as well, without fear, without resistance. She also perceived that the angel's guidance is filled with reverence. Angels, she wrote, possess an immense respect for God's holiness. When they guide the soul toward its particular judgment, they do so with profound humility. There is no harshness in their movement. There is no coldness. There is only obedience, clarity, and peace. Faustina understood that for many souls, the most difficult part of this passage is accepting God's will without resistance. On earth, the soul often clings to control. After death, control is surrendered completely. The guardian angel helps the soul make this surrender by modeling it perfectly. His entire being is submission to God's will, and this silent example draws the soul into the same posture. As these truths settled within her, Faustina felt an unexpected calm. Death, she realized, is not a leap into darkness. It is a guided step into truth, and the angel who guarded the soul through temptations, dangers, and unseen battles remains faithful until the soul reaches the place God has prepared for it. Faustina came to understand that the guidance of the guardian angel after death is marked by profound peace, even when the soul must face purification. In her diary, she often noted how angels move without haste or delay, perfectly aligned with God's will. This harmony, she realized, becomes a refuge for the soul when it can no longer rely on earthly certainties. The angel's calm presence communicates a simple truth: nothing is out of order, and nothing is beyond God's mercy. She sensed that when the soul is led toward purification, the guardian angel does not withdraw or become distant. On the contrary, he remains close, reverent, and attentive. Though he cannot alter the justice of God or shorten the time of purification, his presence assures the soul that this path too is guided. The soul is not cast into suffering, it is led into healing, and the angel, obedient to God, accompanies this process with silent fidelity. Faustina understood that many souls fear purification because they imagine abandonment, but Jesus allowed her to see that the guardian angel's role is precisely to prevent this fear. The angel reminds the soul without words that purification is not rejection, it is preparation. It is the final alignment of the soul with divine love. In this understanding, fear loses its grip and surrender becomes possible. She reflected on how, during earthly life, the guardian angel often warned her quietly, redirected her gently, and protected her without drawing attention to himself. After death, this same discretion remains. The angel does not dominate the soul's awareness. He does not replace God. He simply keeps the soul oriented toward truth, preventing confusion, despair, or resistance. Faustina also perceived that the angel's guidance is deeply personal. Each soul is guided according to its unique journey, its wounds, its struggles, and its capacity to receive truth. The angel knows the soul intimately, not by human affection, but by divine assignment. He has witnessed its battles, its repentance, its longing. And because of this knowledge, his guidance is perfectly suited to what the soul needs at that moment. As she prayed, Faustina felt a quiet gratitude rise within her. She realized that God's mercy extends not only through forgiveness, but through order, through guidance, through companionship. The presence of the guardian angel after death is a sign that God does not leave the soul alone, even for a single moment of eternity's threshold. This realization transformed her understanding of death itself. What many imagine as a solitary crossing is, in truth, a guided passage. What many fear as darkness is, in fact, illuminated by obedience and peace. The angel's presence ensures that the soul never loses its direction, even when it must walk through purification before entering glory. Faustina rested in this truth, her heart steady and calm. If God appoints an angel to guard the soul in life, he does not abandon that soul in death. He fulfills his promise with even greater care. As Faustina contemplated all that Jesus had allowed her to understand, she became increasingly aware that the guardian angel's guidance after death is inseparable from the soul's final surrender. On earth, surrender is learned slowly, often painfully, through trust built in the midst of weakness. After death, surrender becomes complete. The soul no longer negotiates, delays, or resists. And it is the guardian angel who helps the soul make this passage with peace rather than fear. She perceived that at the moment the soul leaves the body, there is a profound stillness. Earthly noise fades. Memories, ambitions, regrets, and attachments appear all at once with a clarity never known before. This sudden unveiling could overwhelm the soul if it were not accompanied. But the guardian angel remains close, steadying the soul, preventing it from being consumed by regret or paralyzed by the weight of truth. Faustina understood that the angel does not distract the soul from reality, nor does he soften truth. Instead, he helps the soul accept truth without panic. The soul sees its life as it truly was, its acts of love, its missed graces, its hidden intentions, and in that vision, the angel quietly anchors it in God's justice, which is always united to mercy. The angel's presence keeps the soul from mistaking justice for rejection. She realized that many souls on earth fear death because they fear facing themselves. But Jesus showed her that the guardian angel's role is precisely to help the soul face itself without despair. The angel reminds the soul by presence rather than speech that God already knows everything the soul is seeing. Nothing revealed is new to him. Nothing discovered is beyond his mercy. Faustina felt deeply moved by this truth. The angel is not there to accuse but to accompany, not to condemn but to guide, not to frighten but to stabilize. His obedience to God becomes the soul's refuge. In the angel's calm fidelity, the soul learns how to let go of its last resistance. She also understood that for souls who have lived with trust, even imperfect trust, this guidance is filled with consolation. The angel becomes the soul's first confirmation that God has kept his promise, that the one who guarded, warned, inspired, and protected in life now continues the journey beyond death. The bond is not broken, it is fulfilled. As these insights settled within her, Faustina felt her own fear of death dissolve further. She understood that death is not abandonment but completion, not separation but transition. The guardian angel's presence is the sign that God's care does not weaken at the threshold of eternity, it intensifies. She knelt quietly, allowing gratitude to rise in her heart. If God assigns an angel to guard each soul so attentively, then no soul is ever alone. Not in life, not in suffering, not in death, and certainly not in eternity. As night fell gently over the convent and silence reclaimed the corridors, Faustina returned once more to the chapel. The sanctuary lamp burned steadily, its soft light resting upon the tabernacle like a living promise. She knelt and allowed her soul to rest in gratitude for what Jesus had revealed. The mystery of the guardian angel's guidance after death no longer felt distant or abstract. It felt intimate, personal, and filled with mercy. In prayer, Faustina understood the final truth of this revelation. The guardian angel's mission does not end until the soul is fully placed where God wills. Whether the soul is led toward purification or welcomed immediately into glory, the angel remains faithful, attentive, and obedient. There is no moment in which the soul is left without direction. God's providence is precise, and his care extends into every step of eternity. She sensed that for souls welcomed directly into heaven, the guardian angel's guidance becomes a passage of profound joy. The angel does not speak loudly or celebrate in human ways, but there is a reverent fulfillment in his obedience. His task is complete, not because the bond is broken, but because the soul has reached its destination. The angel's silent fidelity has accomplished its purpose. For souls entering purification, Faustina perceived that the angel remains close until the soul is fully surrendered to God's will. Even then, the soul is not forgotten. The angel's obedience becomes a final lesson in trust, teaching the soul that every stage of eternity unfolds according to divine wisdom, not human expectation. Faustina felt her heart soften as she realized how few people believe this truth. Many imagine death as a moment of abandonment, a crossing filled with fear and uncertainty. But Jesus had shown her that death, for the soul that belongs to God, is a guided passage marked by order, mercy, and companionship. The guardian angel is the visible sign of God's promise never to leave his children alone. She whispered quietly, "How great is your mercy, O God, that you assign your angels to walk with us, even beyond this life." In that prayer, she felt an overwhelming peace settle within her. The fear that often surrounds death had been replaced by trust, not trust in herself, but trust in God's faithful care. Faustina understood now why Jesus allowed her to glimpse these realities. It was not to satisfy curiosity, but to strengthen faith, to help souls live with confidence rather than fear, to remind the world that the spiritual realm is not distant, cold, or indifferent, but ordered, loving, and attentive to every soul. As she rose from prayer, the chapel remained silent, yet her heart was full. She knew that her guardian angel stood watch, just as faithfully as he always had. And she knew that when her own moment of passing would come, she would not walk alone. The one who had guarded her steps in life would guide her steps into eternity. She extinguished the candle and stepped back into the quiet corridor. Darkness did not feel threatening. It felt gentle. because she now understood that even in the final passage, God provides light.